It's Saturday, December 17th here at the West End Gun Club. Maybe you'll hear it and see it on video, but it is howling right now. I would say the winds are about 15 to 20 miles an hour. When I checked the weather for the range this morning, I only saw that it was not going to rain. And I said, okay, well, I'll just head to the range. I didn't realize it was going to be windy. Last weekend was supposed to be our December 2022 NRL22 match. Unfortunately, that was canceled the morning of, because when I arrived, though it was raining, I knew there was going to be rain, but it had rained heavily enough within about half an hour to an hour after I arrived, such that the creek increased in its level. So we have to cross this creek when we get to the range. There's like a road that leads to the range, and there's like a creek crossing there. And when it rains, it fills with water. But when I arrived, it wasn't bad at all, maybe a few inches of water. But after about half an hour of arriving, I went out to the, exited the range just to make sure that the road was okay. And it had increased in depth significantly. And then after another 30 minutes, it was basically going to be unsafe for many vehicles to drive through, except for, 4x4s, four-wheel drive vehicles, and something with like a lift in order to make some clearance, bigger axles, etc., bigger tires, bigger wheels. Anyway, I ended up having to cancel the match that morning so that people would not, try to cross that creek, and risk getting stuck. It is what it is. We're not going to submit a December match score for our club, but that's how weather plays out when it comes to this range. Anyway, I'm out here this morning just to test out a new rifle that I acquired. And even though it's windy, it's not too bad inside this rimfire range area. I would say because of the way it's designed, the wind is buffeted down about 50%. So we're still talking about a 10-mile-an-hour wind, but I mean, I can still at least get a generic zero and actually get a feel for this gun, because that's why I want to get out here. It's just to operate it, make sure it's okay, try to get it relatively set it in, and we'll go from there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the gear out. I already set up the targets, and then we'll be on our way. Now, the reason I'm out here on this windy, chilly morning here at the range is to test fire and break in this new Tikka T1x MTR with a 20-inch barrel. I was going to get a loaner rifle for our NRL22 matches. The other match director and I have both been letting people use our own personal rifles, and I figured it would be a good idea to get a rifle that's dedicated as a loaner. And I wanted to go with just the factory gun and stick it in base class, so that just for the semantics, that somebody would be able to just test this, brand new shooter would be able to come into NRL22 matches and just shoot base class, just to keep things a little bit more attainable for them in terms of being able to place relatively well, because most people are shooting open class now, so I figure base would be a good opportunity for a new shooter to compete in. Although, with the caveats that I stress that if you're going to build a brand new gun, you may as well just go open. But that's just a story for another time, because of my reasoning behind that. Anyway, as far as a base class rifle, I figure the Tikka T1x would be the ideal gun for this. It's pretty reputable. It's got a good reputation in terms of being able to shoot out of the box. CZ457s are good too. I have a CZ455, but I just wanted to try the Tikka T1x anyway. And I was looking for one for a while. I think since 2020, I was looking at getting a Tikka T1x anyway for myself, but they are almost impossible to get. And then every time you see them, they're like either out of state and it's not worth the transfer, or locally they just get scooped up. And so recently, one of the match attendees had mentioned that they got a Tikka T1x at their store because they work at a firearms store. And I said, you know what? I may go get that. And so there was another match attendee who also works at that store. He verified that they had it. And I said, hey, I'm going to go pick it up. And so I picked it up. And this is what we have here today. So it's bone stock. I haven't tweaked the trigger. I know you can adjust the trigger, and it's actually kind of heavy. I think it's way more than 4 pounds. It's actually crisp though. It's a good clean pull, but I'll have to look into how to adjust it. I cleaned it, and that's pretty much it. Oil the bolt. One item I did put on here is this Mountain Tactical Arca rail. So I was looking into the Tikka T1X and I was curious if you could put an Arca rail on it. It does have a slight curvature on the fore end. It's not completely flat, so I was kind of skeptical. But this company, Mountain Tactical, said they have an Arca rail that fits Tikka T1Xs and T3Xs. And so I bought it, and it actually fit. So surprised. I mean, I tightened it down, and it seems rock solid. I don't know if I would put too much stress on it, though, like really kind of putting torsional force on this while it's mounted, because you could rip it off. I don't know if you could rip it off. This is a cheap plastic stock, but seems pretty solid enough at least to hold a bipod and to support the rifle. So we'll see where that goes, but I'm quite happy with that. And I did put the Area 419 30 MOA base on here. And as far as the scope, this is my own Athlon Argos BTR Gen 2. I just took this off the CZ straight up. It's in the American Rifle Company M10 QDL, or sorry, this is not single piece. This is the they're just regular rings, two piece or separate rings. And I just took it off my CZ, put it on here. Not much else to say, other than I didn't adjust the elevation. Amazingly enough, it's pretty much in line, at least for 25 yards. I just had to adjust the windage. So we're kind of on. It is windy though, so my groups at 25 don't look all that great. Plus, the ammo that I tried out this morning is rifle match, and so it's shooting at about 900 feet per second. It's really slow. I've heard Tikkas have slow barrels, at least for center fire, and I don't know about rim fire, but 900 feet per second out of rifle match is kind of slow out. And it is cold this morning, but we'll try some Center X that I have with me, and I know where that shoots. At least out of a 20-inch Voodoo. But yeah, this is the gun that we're testing out today. But we're going to shoot some more rounds. It is getting colder, though, with this wind chill factor. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be out here very long. But let's get the rounds in so we can get into the inside my warm vehicle. Here's the 25-yard target. This is the first shot of the day. When I bore sighted, I thought, I was trying to get it into the black here. And I was just walking it in, and, I got it around this point, and I didn't adjust elevation at all, surprisingly. So this is where we're at. I just had to adjust windage, and I'm amazed that I was able to get this relatively on taking off a completely different rifle, putting the scope on, and it's pretty much dead on. So pretty happy with that. Less work for me. Obviously this is what you would want at 50 yards, but again, the wind conditions this morning, pretty strong. Here's our target at 50 yards. Ignore the left side. This is from a prior outing. Shot some center X here. You can see it's a large group. Shot center X here. It tightened up because the wind stopped blowing. But I shot another center X group, and it's just the wind is just all over the place. Center X is running really slow out of this gun. Out of the 20-inch Tikka T1x, we're only pushing about 970 feet per second. So I shot some with the Elite Club, and this is a better group. Granted, we still have wind, so I wouldn't put too much stock in my groups at 50 yards right now in these conditions. It is blowing pretty heavily right now. I probably can't see from the, maybe you can see on the wind out there, or the trees rather, but it's definitely windy. And but this Elite Club is pushing 1080, 1070 in these conditions. So definitely center X is running slow. Elite runs hot, even if you skew the data, because I expect center X to be pushing 1050. So we're talking about an 80 foot per second, 90 foot per second decrease in the Tikka T1x versus say a Bartland 20-inch. This Elite Club's actually moving pretty fast though, 1070. So I would normally expect this to be around 1110 out of my Voodoo that I tested it out in. But we're probably going to shoot Elite. Velocities, I don't like under 1,000. That's kind of slow. Probably go with something like Elite. But again, this is a brand new barrel. Probably need to break it in a little bit because it's not going to settle in for quite a bit of time. Hopefully we can come out on a better day soon, just to give this a little bit more of a fair assessment. But yeah, the groups are pretty large. I can see accuracy potential here. Obviously here, if it weren't as windy, would be okay. Packing it in on this windy, chilly morning. Sun came out and I'm on the other side of the range, so I'm getting a little bit of warmth here, so it's not too bad right now. But it is definitely windy, and it affected my testing of the Tikka T1x in terms of getting like group data. However, I was able to get velocity data, so now I know that certain ammo in this gun is shooting slower than I would expect it to. So that'll drive me on, I guess, kind of where I'm going to set my level of expectations in terms of ammo performance. And granted, velocities aren't directly related to accuracy, but then again, I do want to get at least some speed on the ammo. I think center X shooting at 970 feet per second is a little too slow. And so I understand that Tikka T1x's, or I've heard that Tikka centerfires shoot slower. I didn't know that Tikka T1x's shoot slower, but definitely slower than I would have expected. But we'll work with it, and we'll come out hopefully on another day to when it's not windy in order to get a little bit more of a sampling of group sizes and group performance. I am going to have to adjust the trigger. Well, I don't have to, but I would like to adjust the trigger, get a little bit lighter. It is kind of heavy, but there's no creep, so I'm very happy with that. I'm happy with the Mountain Tactical Arca rail that I have on here, so it works great with my bipods because all of them are Arca. The stock, surprisingly, I measured this, and I think it was a 13-inch length of pull, surprisingly, a 12-inch. It was long, so it's definitely not like a junior rifle, right? They did give it a good length of pull, so it's actually going to be good for most people. And as far as the scope, I hijacked the Athlon Argos BTR Gen 2 off of my CZ. I do need to get a dedicated scope for this gun. However, not sure what to go with. I did reach out to Bushnell, and I usually don't ask for handouts, but I did ask them if they were willing to help, like at least give like a reduced price for the club. For the loaner rifle, I kind of explained what I do with the NRL22 as far as running matches and what this is meant to be as far as a loaner rifle. I haven't heard any response from them, and I'm likely just gonna, if I don't get anything from them, which is fine, I'm probably just gonna get another Athlon BTR Argos BTR Gen 2 because I think this is a good scope in general. It's clear, got a good reticle. I like how the diopter adjusts easily. There's no locking diopter and it moves smoothly, so which is critical because for a loaner rifle, you want it to be easy to adjust for a person, and that includes the ocular and so the reticle being clear. So the fact that we can get that adjusted quickly without really messing with any locking mechanism, I think it's going to be good for a loaner rifle. It's good. It's a good reticle as well. So maybe we'll just stick with the Argos BTR Gen 2. And, but yeah, not a bad rifle so far. As far as this range vlog today, I just wanted to remark that this is, I believe, the 200th range vlog. And not really much, I wasn't really planning to do anything special for the 200th. But I just wanted to thank everyone for sticking with the ride, you know, sticking with this whole, I guess, ride or adventure or kind of progression of like what I've been documenting here. And when I first started several years ago, the only reason I started doing range vlogs is because I felt like I was going to the range and not really doing anything with purpose. And I figure, why don't I start just documenting what I'm doing and kind of take the opportunity to share kind of the sport with people. And I know that the range vlog style isn't really ideal for many people, and it can get kind of mundane. But hopefully I'm just able to kind of present what I'm doing when I go to the range. Hey, I'm practicing pistol, or I'm, you know, practicing rimfire, or I'm testing new equipment or whatnot, just to kind of give purpose of going to the range and like what we're, you know, what I and what other people are doing when they go out here. And we're just not, and you know, you can just go plink and just blindly throw out rounds down range and be done with it. But I think what's important for people to understand, especially those who don't know the shooting sports, is there's a lot more to firearms and the shooting disciplines than just what you see on TV and in movies. There's a lot more involved. This is a very, very diverse sport. And there's lots of things for everyone. And I think this is a very good platform by which to share what I and what others are doing when we go out to the range. So that's kind of why I like to do in the range vlogs. And I understand that a lot of people, I mean, some of my range vlogs may not be fitting for them, and so sometimes they just kind of fall off of it. And some of my range vlogs do fit what they do, and they kind of get interested in that aspect, but then they get kind of, I don't say angry, but they're a little, I guess, disappointed when I don't talk about other topics. Like I shift to something else because one day I decided to go shoot my AR versus shooting the rimfire versus shooting my 6 Creedmoor. So I understand that in itself that my range vlogs don't attract a very large audience because I'm just so diverse in terms of like what I do. When I say I don't attract a wide, I don't attract a very wide committed audience, right? I have a few dedicated subscribers and people who interact with me quite often. That's great. But I think in general, since I'm not as focused as other channels, I don't see that audience, which is fine. And that's not what I meant to, that's not what I started this whole channel to do. I didn't do it for necessarily to get like a huge audience. I did it here as a way to present things that some people might find interesting, and hey, they got some good information, and then, you know, they can use that for themselves in terms of either bettering their shooting, bettering their decision on buying something, or just learning about a new discipline. Anyway, that's it for this. I don't want to drag on too long. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to probably come out to the range before Christmas again because I want to do some centerfire testing, hopefully. If not, wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I'm definitely going to do some shooting after Christmas during that week between Christmas and New Year's because I got some time off. But until then, have a Merry Christmas, be safe, and I'll see you in the next range vlog. Thanks for watching.